Well, I'm pretty excited. The Aru just showed up and the cat is here. We have so many special guests here today for this incredible episode. Can you believe it, my friend? We are celebrating today our 100th episode. I know. It's amazing, right? 100 episodes of the podcast, such a huge milestone. I thought we would take a little trip down memory lane today. Paisley's going to join us in the podcast studio today. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey, everybody. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. And as I mentioned, many special guests, although one of them left. I already mentioned that Rue was here and the cat was here.
Oh, there's already been an intro?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
You missed it.
Oh.
Paisley was making tea.
I was making tea.
Paisley's in the house today.
All right, I am here.
Paisley's in the house today. Oh, wait, let me do the cheering for Paisley. Is there cheering? Yeah. Look at it's going.
Okay, I don't have a headset on, so I can't hear the sound
I can't hear it either because I have to turn the headset down.
Oh, so we're just hoping it was cheering?
Yeah,
What if it was a boo?
We don't know what's going on.
Oh, this is like boo.
That's a good start. All right, we are here today. We're pretty excited to jump into this one because we are celebrating our 100th episode.
Woohoo! Triple digits.
Triple digits on the podcast. Paisley, did you know that most podcasters quit after 10 episodes?
I did not know that. That is surprisingly low. If I'm being
I know.
honest.
Because, they'll say there's podcasts for everything. Everyone's doing a podcast. And I thought that too. I was like, everyone's doing podcasts. But
Why not do a podcast?
I found out that most podcasters quit.
Oh.
And so this is a huge, huge milestone for us today. And
we times 10'd the average.
We did. We're 10 times the best.
Nice. Someone's gonna math check that and be like, that's not how that works.
We're not good at math, so let's...
Math is hard.
Math is the hardest.
We just both take a moment to sip the tea.
We'll just have tea while we're thinking about our math there.
We shouldn't ponder that for too long.
So today we thought we would take a little trip down memory lane. We're going to do a couple of things here. We want to take a little trip down memory lane and talk about some of the 5 most downloaded episodes, which shocked me.
Yeah. We also apparently had a very recent switch to the top 5 most downloaded.
Oh my! I actually was like, "Holy moly! Where'd that episode come from?"
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the episodes that touched your hearts, and we're going to reflect on it because I was fascinated by it. But before I do, I actually wanted to take a moment because this is a shout out to you, my friend, listening to this right here and right now. Because if you didn't know this. I wanted to sort of, let people know the story of how the podcast began because I started podcasting in February of 2024. It came after, believe it or not, one of my videos on TikTok went viral. And Paisley can relate to this because I think she was the only one up at the time when I realized what was happening, and I ran into her room.
It was late.
It was really late.
It was very late at night. I think we were in the AMs.
Yeah, I ran into her room and I showed her my phone, and you could literally see the number of followers jumping up exponentially as we were watching it. And I was like, what is actually happening? And so I got very, very excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening for me. Like I'm going to make it. Like I've made a viral video.
I've done it.
And for someone like me who has been online for a very long time, and I've been posting videos and I've been doing a lot of things.
And really consistently. Like I'd say everyone online's like, yeah, no, to make it, you just got to post consistently. And you've been doing that for years, and we're struggling to get traction. So when TikTok was like, wow, look what you've done.
Yeah, and so it was a big deal. And then I ended up posting that same video over on Facebook, and the same thing happened. Facebook started to take off. And I think on Facebook, I had the same, I had to work 8 years to get 1,000 followers on Facebook. And most of them when I started were just the daycare people, the people from that did our doggy daycare because they wanted to see their pictures of their dogs at the daycare, which is fair. But I had worked years and years and years to get 1,000 followers. And all of a sudden it jumped up to 83,000 followers. 83,000.
Yeah.
And so I literally was like, this is it. Like I've done it. I've reached it. Everything's happened. And then shortly after that, I had a shock. I went into my kennel the one morning and I found one of my beloved dogs, Gandalf, had died overnight. And I was devastated. I remember coming up to the house. The kids were so great. Like my boys both stayed home from school. They were like, we'll help you. I was absolutely devastated because he was fine. We're assuming it must have been bloat or something like that, or a pancreatic tumor or whatnot that ruptured, something that you wouldn't have seen that. Anyway, what happened after that was that I was grieving heavily and I had this overwhelming sense that I had to do a video. I had to do a video because that's how the algorithm works. Like once you get a viral video, you have to keep doing more and more and more and more videos.
Yeah, like as I said, consistency.
Yeah, it has to be consistent.
You gotta be consistent.
Otherwise you'll lose it. So I was sitting there just going, I have to say something smart. I have to come up with a video. And I couldn't because I was just in so much pain. And so I ended up making a video about his death, which was lovely. I think I've spoke about this on some of the earlier podcasts, but it was lovely. People did reach out and I couldn't get back into it. And the algorithm changed on me and all of a sudden I wasn't getting the reach and all of a sudden there was so much pressure.
Sorry.
And I thought that was it. Like I lost it. Like I've lost everything. And I had this overwhelming sense of, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. Like I don't want to do it anymore. The algorithm beat me. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to show up like this. Not to mention, as someone who truly does care about, connecting and reaching people, that I found the criticisms were either one, I wasn't giving enough value, or two, I was talking too much. And I was like, how do you say valuable things in 90-second increments?
Yeah, that's tough.
That's a hard ask. So I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And then the idea of podcasting came about and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to say the things that I want to say. And if no one hears it, if no one responds, if nobody cares, I will just finish off with one final mic drop, literally, because I, had the podcast mic now, so I could actually mic drop.
She bought a mic to do a literal mic drop.
I was gonna do a literal mic drop, and I thought probably I would do 10 episodes, maybe, and just say the things that I wanted to say. But something magical happened, and that was you. You, the person that's listening right now, you listened. And I was like, people are actually hearing this. And not only were people hearing it, as they were sharing it, they were commenting, they were liking it. And it really did breathe a new life into what I had. Not only that, but I was saying the things that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
not what people wanted to hear, not what people or the algorithm wanted to hear, but the actual things that were meaningful for me. And people in kind came out and said, this matters to me too.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most incredible moment where I went, oh, there's people. I'm not the only one. And it was a moment of feeling, I guess, validated would be,
I think that's a good word,
the word for it. But also it just breathed this new life into everything that we stood for. So, we ended up creating a new program. Paisley has been instrumental in helping with the branding of this. Like we went all in with this new idea.
Yeah, when we say it breathed life, it breathed a lot of life into Beyond Obedience as a whole.
It really, really did. And Paisley came in to sort of help with that. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Paisley will tell you, I don't have a single solitary design flair in my life at all. I can't design to save my life.
I feel like you want to have a design flair though. Like
I try.
you want to believe that there's a bone in there.
I do want to believe. I used to think I was creative.
Canva has center lines for a reason, and you don't see that reason.
I don't use those. I color outside of the box. That's how I like to look at it.
I don't think the box can find you anymore.
That might be true. Behind the scenes, you will hear things like, because we share a Canva account, if we're both working on the business stuff, Paisley will see me go into Canva and I'll hear from her bedroom, hey, what are you doing? Get out of Canva, Mom. Just tell me what you want.
I will do it for you. I just need you to tell me.
Yeah. And I've probably told Paisley this 1,000 times now already, but Paisley's work in capturing the feel of what we wanted Beyond Obedience to be has really helped sort of, again, embrace this new breath that Beyond Obedience has become. This idea that we're not about control. We're not about commands. We are literally about connection and bond and all of that stuff. And how do we capture that in a brand? How do we capture that in color? How do we capture that in the posts that we do? And Paisley, I think, has done a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
Really capturing that. And I love all of the stuff that she does, even if she yells at me for going on Canva.
I yelled politely.
Yeah.
Ish.
It's polite.
We get along.
It's polite. So I guess I just wanted to share that story a little bit, just to let you know how important you are in this journey, that you are every bit a part of our journey and who Beyond Obedience is for and what we've become. It really has been about you and all about you and the feedback and people being so vulnerable and sharing their stories with me. And I don't take that lightly. I really don't take that lightly. Some of the vulnerable posts and some of the shares that people have gifted me is been incredible. And I don't take that lightly. And I think, I just think you're incredible. So I just wanted to say that to you. Little shout out to you. Little shout out to Paisley for her design work, even if she's mean about it.
I'm very, very nice.
She's polite.
I'm so sweet.
She's the sweetest. All right, Paisley, let's talk a little bit about our top 5 most downloaded episodes, starting with, which way should we do it? Starting with the number 1?
I think we should start with number 1 because I don't think number 1 is very surprising.
Okay, let's start with the
number. I feel like if we go backwards, number 1 might be disappointing.
Wah, wah, yeah. All right, let's start off with the number 1 episode that number 1 downloaded episode for Beyond Obedience so far is in fact
The first episode.
The very first episode. Yay. Hopefully.
See, I believe, though, that that's in first place because if people want to check out the podcast, they're going to click the first episode.
I agree. There is probably a sense of that, the very first episode, how it all began, that kind of a thing. But I will say this, as someone who goes on to podcasts, once you get up really high in your numbers, finding the first podcast is actually challenging.
And we have just hit our higher numbers.
We've got
those triple digits now.
But the number one podcast was The Greatest Lesson I Learned, and it was the lesson of Wellington. And for those that haven't heard that one, this remains my greatest lesson I've ever learned from any of my dogs, and it was from our incredible dog, Wellington. He was our alpha male. If you're cringing at the word alpha, he was a breeder male. He had breeding bitches and offspring. He was a family man. So by all sort of forms of alpha, he was it.
By scientific definition.
Yeah, he still hits the definition, so we're keeping it. But the greatest lesson that I ever learned from that dog was that leadership, and because he was, Paisley, was he not the most incredible dog as far as what other dogs perceived him as?
Well, he was pretty incredible.
Yeah, like you would bring Wellington into the dog yard and the other dogs would almost be like in awe of him, like, oh my gosh, Wellington's here. Like,
yeah, they wouldn't even have to see him. They just knew when he entered the yard.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch. It really, truly was amazing to watch.
It's a whole dynamic shift.
But the greatest lesson that dog ever taught me was that you had to be fun. And that, I think, is one of the things that is missing, especially one of the reasons why leadership probably gets a bad term is that people associate leadership with, of force and abuse and all of that stuff, which is silly. But I think the one thing that even those that don't think leadership is a bad word, they, I think, forget the fact that you can still be a fun leader.
You know what it kind of makes me think of?
What's that?
In kindergarten, as humans, leadership was a good word. Like, the most celebrated role you could have in kindergarten was being the line leader.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because it was fun. You were guiding your class around. You were at the front with the teacher. Like, it was a fun role, and it was a good word. And I kind of find it funny how, like, throughout growing up, it does kind of end up being almost a bad word in a position that people are afraid of and, like, a word that people kind of cringe at.
Why that changes. Because I never even thought about that. Because you're right.
Yeah, when I was, like, a young kid, like, you wanted to be the leader.
You got to wear the star, and you were the leader. That was a cool
place to be. It was a respected position. You were the guide of the class, and everyone was like, look at that kid taking us outside to the yard.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to be the leader.
That's interesting. I kind of forgot it. You've been in kindergarten earlier.
not too long ago.
Not that long ago. For me, it was quite a while ago. But yeah, that's a very
I'm just
good
recalling
point.
yesterday, apparently.
I don't know why that happens. I don't understand where it goes wrong. Although, I don't want to get into politics, but there's some leaders out there today that are questionable, so maybe that's where.
That's what went wrong.
Not mentioning names.
You didn't hear that here.
Yes. All right. Number 2 for the number 2 most downloaded episode was episode number 3. That got confusing. How to build a beautiful bond with your dog. And that's interesting that that's still up there as a number 1 interested or downloaded one. It's interesting, and maybe it's not. I'm not entirely sure what catches people with that, other than it warms my heart to think that people want to know how to build a beautiful bond with their dog.
Also, it's got some good alliteration. You got that build a beautiful bond. That's a triple B right there.
A triple B right there.
It's a very attractive title.
Yeah, and so I'm not entirely, you know what, I should have probably looked at what was on the description of that one, because when I think about how to build a beautiful bond with a dog, I always think of, we have, of course, our foundation. We used to call it foundation of relationship. Now we're calling it foundation of partnership, but leadership, relevance, and fulfillment are our foundation blocks of building a bond with a dog. I'm just wondering which one I was highlighting on that, whether or not it was relevance or fulfillment. But I think the part that warms my heart about that one is just the fact that I think building a bond is exactly one of our core messages here.
It is.
So that one doesn't surprise me too much. Here was the big surprise, though. Number 3.
Number 3 is the recent one that just reemerged.
Number 3 popped in, and it's actually episode 88.
Which is fairly recent.
Which is I'm like, that one took off. And what's the title of that one, Paisley?
When you love your dog, but don't always like them.
Oh, okay.
I can see why that title caught some attention.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense in the whole, listen, you're going to hear a little bit more about our pillars and our core values of Beyond Obedience, but one of them is authenticity always. And that's the one thing I think that you can count on from me, from Beyond Obedience, from Paisley even. We are, if nothing else, authentic.
Oh, yeah.
And so I will share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am not here to say that my journey with my dogs is all sunshine and roses and cupcakes, because it has not been. And I'm fairly certain that this episode is talking about Apollo.
That would make sense. Yeah.
I think this is the story of Apollo. And I think the reason why this resonates so much with so many people is because if you have a drivey dog, and actually, Apollo is an RBE, and we're going to talk about that in the Dogonalities, because I think a lot of you, I just made this connection right here, right now, in this moment.
This is what I mean by authenticity always. It's just us being like, look what we just did.
We just figured stuff out right now. So I just figured that out because when we talk about Dogonalities, there were 2 that came up very, very close as the most common Dogonality. And so if you have a dog like Apollo, who is a right brain extrovert, and we'll talk about that a little later in the sections of this podcast, but those are challenging dogs.
Yeah.
Those are really challenging dogs. These are the dogs that are more into the environment and prey drive and all the other things. And it's really hard to compete as a human being that can't play that hard, that doesn't chase things and kill things. Like, it's really hard to build that relevance when you have a dog that's really doggy like Apollo was. And so I loved that dog, but I had days where I was like, I even uttered the words, I hate you. And as much as that pains me to think about that, and I never really wanted to ever admit it out loud, and now I'm admitting it on a podcast, I think the reason why I wanted to share that is because I know that there are other people that have struggled with that same thing. Because after those words get muttered out of your face, you then get swallowed by the guilt and the shame of saying it or even thinking it.
Yeah.
And I think that hits home for a lot of people. So, I mean, it shot up pretty quick. So,
I believe the data suggests that it did hit home.
This idea hits home. So I'm glad that it resonated with many folks. I'm hoping that it gave you a little bit of a sense of relief that you're not the only one. Like, you're not the only one.
Well, you're 2 different species, right? Like, you're speaking a different language. Mm-hmm. It can be frustrating at times. And that's fair. It's
a lot of times.
You got to give yourself some grace.
Yeah, and that's the hardest part, right? For sure. So number 4 was episode 30. Is it fear? 3 ways to tell if your dog's reactivity is fear-based or aggressive. That one also doesn't surprise me as one of the top downloads.
Yeah, we get that question a lot, like how to tell if it's fear or aggression.
Yeah, and totally fair, because it's hard to tell.
It is.
It's really, really challenging to tell because it looks similar and there's slight, nuances to the behavior that you're seeing. And a lot of us now, and I would say a lot of it has swung the other way, where we've kind of classified everything as fear-based.
Yeah.
And some of it isn't, so that one doesn't surprise me at all. All right, number 5. I think this one got picked as just because of the title.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, that makes sense.
The title of this is episode number 2. This is my second episode.
So we actually have the first top 3 episodes as one of the first 3 episodes of the podcast.
Yeah. Number 2 was Do you think your dog doesn't have a choice? And then it said, oh yeah, and the time I got kicked in the face.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people were probably like, what is that? You got kicked in the face. So number
I mean, that's a conversation starter right there.
So this was the podcast episode where I had that comment. Do you remember the lady that told me my content was drivel?
I mean, how could there be any drivel in getting kicked in the face?
Well, no, not that. That's what the topic was about. Was somebody commented on my Facebook that my stuff was drivel.
Oh.
And I thought drivel was a great word. I'm like, who uses the word drivel? Like she was
like, whoo, drivel.
She was like, this is drivel. Anyway, so I was impressed by her use of language there. But this particular episode was talking about the idea that while we humans do tell our dogs to do a lot of things and we're able to manipulate them in many ways because we have tools and leverage and all sorts of stuff, we need to remind ourselves and be humbled by the fact that these are animals that can hurt us. And the story about being kicked in the face was my reminder of that. I was kicked by a horse, not angrily. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
She was in the line of fire of a hoof.
And it was one of those stories of, had it been up a few inches, I probably wouldn't be here today. And so it's a reminder that animals are animals and that they do have choices, whether or not we think that they don't because we have leashes on them or we put them in crates or whatever. It was that, they can turn on us, and many of them do, right? When we're not respecting who they are. So, but then I wanted to mention our honorable mention. Didn't make the top 5, but almost made the top 5.
It was close.
It was a close call. It was episode 89. Tired of being ignored on walks. Here's what actually works. And Paisley will love that was the story of Chuckles. That was the story of Chuckles and what Chuckles taught me, which was the concept of, if you give to them, they'll give you so much more back.
Yeah.
And I had tried really hard to train Chuckles to suspend his genetic desire to sniff everything. And it was just a constant struggle because I was pushing against genetics. And when I decided to actually join him, let him lead the way, join him, follow him, see the world through his eyes, get dirty. The story talks about him taking me through a swamp and all of that stuff. And how after that, Chuckles became one of our greatest pack walkers.
Oh, yeah.
And
he was the role model.
He was the role model. Mark just used to hook his leash on his belt buckle, and you wouldn't even have to hold on to the leash. That's how great Chuckles was. And that came out of actually not just understanding fulfillment, but fulfillment as being a part of that fulfillment. And so, if you're being ignored on a walk, there's a good chance you're ignoring them. That was the key take-home message for that.
And that hits hard.
That does hit hard, because it is true, right? How often are your dogs asking you questions and saying, hey, what's over here? And why don't you come see this and whatnot? And we completely ignore them because we're in our heads. We're thinking about the politics and the grocery list and the prices of eggs. I don't think about the price of eggs, honestly. I'm in Canada, but apparently eggs are a big thing in other countries.
So we've heard.
All right, so those were our top 5 and a bit episodes. What do you think about all of that? Were any of those shocking to you, Paisley?
I mean, I will say I was shocked at hearing 88 jump that far up that quickly.
Yeah.
When you love your dog but don't always like them. Like that was pretty surprising to me.
Yeah. I think that one really, it makes me almost want to have more of a discussion about that. Like maybe we'll do that sometime in the near future about the RBEs. Let's actually talk a little bit, because let's talk a little bit about the Dogonality Quiz. We're going to skip forward a little bit.
You're going to jump on over to Dogonality?
We're going to talk about the Dogonality since we were talking about Apollo. So the Paisley and I, full disclosure, Paisley and I were trying to run this Dogonality Quiz. We had done this before, and like years ago. Like how many years?
It was
a long time.
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it didn't quite hit. It was like everything else that I had tried. It didn't quite hit, and I was like, I don't understand, because I loved it.
It did come to a surprise as me because I am a huge personality quiz person, and I was like, isn't everyone a personality quiz person?
Right. That's
apparently
what I thought
not.
Too. Yeah. And I think like everything else, that this again was something that the podcast has brought out. The podcast, I think, has brought out the people that care about the things that we care about, and not to say that there's anything wrong with people that, let's say, are more focused on obedience and whatnot. We're beyond obedience. Like that's our thing. But we tried this a while ago. It didn't quite hit. I ended up shutting the quiz off. And then when I was thinking about it, I was kind of like, we've got a different audience now. Maybe they'll like it. And so we decided to redo it. We sort of revamped some of the questions. We did a lot more. We did a lot of work on it.
We got new pictures. Yeah, we really branded it into our stuff. And we relaunched it. And I will say, oh my gosh, was that ever fun. It was.
It was so much fun.
And what's really cool now is that in all of our Facebook groups, you have people coming in saying, so my dog's an RBE and they did this today. And we're like, they're using the terms. And we're so excited about it.
Oh my gosh, we're behind the scenes going, people are talking about it. I think the reason for me personally why I love the Dogonality stuff is because it allows you, as the person observing the dog behavior, it allows you to see them a little bit differently and take away the dog trainer terminology.
Yeah.
Which we like to call the gobbledygook. Because that's what it feels like now.
It does.
It just feels like gobbledygook. The dog trainers are fighting over terminologies and tools and all that stuff. And we have stepped away from that because we're like, we don't want any part of that anymore. So this allows you to look at your dog a little bit differently. I will say, just a shout out, if you're listening to this and you're like, I haven't taken the quiz yet, you can do that by going to beyondobedience.ca/quiz. And you'll get access to do that if you're like, what is that? And then once you take that quiz, you get a bunch of emails about how to connect with that type of Dogonality, things to avoid with that Dogonality, all of that good stuff. But what was fascinating to both Paisley and I is we get the analytics from the results, in particular, the results. And I was shocked to find out that we were LBE, so our left brain extroverts, or as we like to call them, life of the party dogs, came in number one and has stayed number one as the number one
strong
result. But right behind is the right brain extrovert, or the what are they called? Fearless explorers. Thank you. So we have life of the parties, which are left brain, meaning they're thinking dogs and they're extroverts. And then we had right brain extroverts that were confident coming in as a big second. So that's why we were looking at it going, that's why there's so many people that resonated with episode 88.
Yeah.
Because Apollo was a right brain extrovert that was confident. So these kind of dogs are the dogs that are, like, as I mentioned before, they're into the prey drive. They're into hunting, searching, seeking. They tend to be very rough players, RBEs, because they're extroverted and they're drivey. So they tend to be like hardcore. Like, remember how Apollo used to play? Like,
oh yeah, hardcore.
Like, you had to get some pretty tolerant or equally robust players, and it could run the line of, it could turn negative pretty quickly with those kind of dogs. And so it now makes sense that people were like, yeah, I don't always like that dog. Right? I don't always like that dog.
That dog can get on my nerves real fast, not gonna lie.
That dog is hard, because they are. So it was really, it's great sort of information for us to know, like, what kind of things, like, you need. That's what Paisley and I are always doing. We're always like, what does our community need from us? What kind of things does our community want to talk about? And so that part was interesting. The LBEs are very interesting as well. So these guys are your... they're the life of the party. They're left brain extroverts. So they're your thinking dogs that move their feet. These are a lot of your working dogs.
Yeah.
So your border collies, your Australian shepherds, your shepherds in general, all of these dogs are all going to fall under that LBE thinking, but moves their feet, right? Yeah. So those ones are also challenging if you don't give them the fulfillment that they need, right? Anyway, I just wanted to share the fact that not only did people take the quiz, but then they jumped into the Living Beyond Obedience community, and then they shared their results, and they were like, who else has this kind of dog? And some people were sharing their injuries. But I think that's what the community is for. Is to connect with other people, and to be to know you're not alone. And I think that really does help. And then the other big thing. Is there anything else you want to say about Dogonality before I move on, Paisley?
No, I'm good. I'm keeping up.
Okay, so the other big thing that we did this year, brand new to Beyond Obedience, was we started a brand new program called the Fearless Framework. Now, I will say that the Fearless Framework starts off as, I was going to use the word targeting. It's not targeting. It was to benefit people with fearful dogs. And there's quite a few people that joined the fearful dog that we found out through the process that they didn't necessarily have fearful dogs.
Yep.
But what we found was that that was okay. They still got the exact same benefit, more so in some cases, of what I was hoping for, the transformation that I was really hoping for with this program.
Well, because at the end of the day, the Fearless Framework is to help you connect with your dog. So even if your dog isn't fearful, you can still connect with your dog.
Yes, exactly. And so, and going through the framework allowed people to sort of find out that they weren't fearful. So all we had to do was kind of change motivation, right? And so I'll tell you right now, that program, we launched that back in September of 2024. Is when we launched it. So I worked on it the whole winter, doing the videos and all the homework and all that stuff, put a lot of stuff into it. Paisley helped out with all of the stuff as well. Paisley is also my sounding board to help me when I get too doggy and too into it. I can sometimes slip into trainer mode a little bit, and get a little bit too into the weeds there. So Paisley helps pull me out of that a little bit. But we did a lot of work on that. Really, really proud of that program. We launched it after the first Calm Down Dog Boot Camp, which, for the record, was the most fun.
It was so fun.
Ugh, it was so much fun. You know what's funny, Paisley? As a sidebar, I'm going to bring it up because I want to, and I can.
My podcast, I do what I want.
I have one-star review. Ugh. It hurts my heart so much, too. Because
she took that personally.
I take everything personally. But I have that one-star review, and it is somebody basically saying that all of my podcasts were advertising the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp.
Weeping.
And I was like, I was advertising it because I was really excited about that boot camp.
I was proud of that boot camp, man.
I wanted people to go to the boot camp. Anyway, that boot camp, we also did a boatload of stuff for that. But oh my God, we had so much fun. It was... After we would turn the cameras off and everything, I would turn to Paisley and go, that was so much fun. No joke. Met the most incredible people. I loved it. Anyway, after the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp, there is an invitation if you'd like to continue on with us, that we had the Fearless Framework. And we ended up getting this core little group of people, which was probably the most perfect group of people I could have asked for, that put their hand up and said, yep, we'd like to test drive this new program that you've done. And I'm not going to lie, this sounds really, really silly. I have actually cried a couple times reading some of the posts, watching this group evolve over the past year. Hasn't been a year yet, has it? No. Be a year this September.
Yeah. A few months ago.
Yeah. But just watching this group evolve, and you'll hear me, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you've probably heard us talk about this quite a bit, about how I am so in love with our community in the Fearless Framework. They are the nicest, kindest people you'll ever want to meet. You'll never find more support there. They are willing, they're vulnerable. They're willing to share, their how interesting moments and their oh bleep moments. And then I can't even tell you how many times I have got to my post, like I've gone on to the thing, I've read a really vulnerable, heartfelt post where they were like, I'm feeling really low right now. And I read it and I go, oh my gosh. And before I even had a chance to answer, 4 or 5 other people have already jumped in there to give their support and be like, it
is just the most beautiful thing.
It is so much what we need right now. So much
especially right now. Like, we've gotten like a few messages from people where it's like, hey man, like just being on social media is so difficult, and that is 100% true. Like, social media is a little brutal right now, which honestly makes it all the more incredible that we've managed to cultivate this group here, because it is just the sweetest people you will ever meet.
I can't even with them. Like, I can't even with them. They are. And I know I talk about it a lot, but I think it is because I have some trauma from previous Facebook groups in my life. The whole reason why I wanted to quit dog training was because of social media and the fighting and the meanness that is out there. And I want to get off all social and not talk about it anymore. And again, this community of people has really just changed everything for me. And so I wanted to share just a little bit of some of the kind words that this group has shared about the program, and maybe something resonates a little bit with you. I know I've already shared a little bit about Heather and Jordy's journey, and if you haven't, heard that podcast episode, please jump on there, because Heather is just one of these people that she's really embraced everything.
Oh yeah, she's like full committed.
Yeah,
full committed to everything we do.
She's gone above and beyond in a lot of cases. And I know because she had mentioned on numerous occasions that she never thought that Jordy would ever invite her into his world. That he was, again, we've put him as not fearful. He's more right-brained and introverted, doesn't like to move his feet, and doesn't want anything to do with her. And now she wrote that the overarching change for her has been the sense of partnering and a quiet shared communication. This in itself is incredible, as I felt Jordy and I would never share this kind of bond. At home, if he's in doubt, he seeks me out looking for guidance on our nature walks. And again, I never thought I would be saying this, but he is allowing me to track and hunt with him. I have fun with him. I feel like when we're out there on our own, just being ourselves, bonded together. And I get so much joy just being a part of his world. Oh, like I showed that to Paisley. I had tears in my eyes and I'm like, this is everything. This is like, she encompassed everything that we stand for. And I hope she serves as an inspiration for others who have that RBE, that think, he's never going to pick me.
I mean, there's no way to get through to this dog.
I'm never going to get through this dog. I only hope and pray that this sort of hits you there, because she literally, I remember her saying, I would say to her, I'm like, just keep on going out. Just keep on going out. She's like, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. I'm like, he notices you. He'll notice you. And now he is. So I think that's absolutely incredible. Michelle, who wrote that she was immediately connected to us because of the energy, sense of humor, and not being entrenched in one camp or the other. See, this is Michelle, and I think Jamie too is another one who really came up to me and said, listen, I'm so inundated with like so much contradicting.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the issue with the dog training world right now, is that it is all contradicting.
It's all contradictions. And so we end up in analysis paralysis where we're like, I'm not doing it right, but I don't know what the right thing is. And so, if you're someone that's looking to get out of that, I can
welcome.
The water is warm here. Like, come on over. And then, of course, because this is in my signature opening, I wanted to share Laurel, who said, I had been chopping up hot dogs and giving treats, etc., but not really developing a relationship with my dog. I never heard of being a leader for my dog or even understanding my complicated little guy. I was just wanting obedience. Tracy has been teaching me about what I need to do to change and be the person my dog needs in order to be successful, and how to help my dog navigate in this people world. And that's the other thing, right? I think the big thing that we really do talk a lot about here is that we really do need to recognize this is another species trying to cope in Humansville.
Yeah.
And that in itself, we have to not only understand that, but we have to embrace the fact that we are fundamentally different from our dogs. We love our dogs, but we are fundamentally different from them. And that what we are doing matters. One of the things that I wanted to say, like I happened to scroll across somebody that's having group dog classes. And the first thing that stuck out to me was, do you want to enhance your bond with your dog? So I was like, oh, who doesn't? And then the next line was, have an impeccably well-trained dog that is great with all of this. And for some reason, the impeccably well-trained dog,
yeah,
I went, ugh, no. Like...
And that was when Tracy backed away slowly.
I don't know what it is, but I'm like, the idea that my dog has to be impeccably well trained. And I'll tell you this right now. Here's a spoiler alert. Impeccably well trained does not give you a good bond.
Yeah.
There's nothing about building a bond that if you like your dog to be trained, don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing that. I'm just saying having a bond with a dog and having an impeccably well-trained dog are not mutually this exclusive. Is that the right phrase?
Sure.
Okay. Anyway.
Said with doubt.
I don't know. The point is that I have met a lot of impeccably well-trained dogs that don't have very good relationships with their humans. That's all I'm going to say. All right.
Dang the sit, though.
But they can sit.
They hold that place command very well.
They can sit on place and be over there, being less doggy over there, not near us humans, with the best of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they
impeccable,
can do.
Really.
Again, sounds like I'm bashing obedience. I'm really not. If you are a person that likes to do it and your dog enjoys doing it, please do it for all the reasons that you do. But if you're doing it, this is where the gut check comes in. If you're doing it because of how you will look to others, that is an ego thing. And that ego aspect is what is going to wreck your bond with your dog.
Yeah.
That's the part. So you can still do the obedience, and you should. Dogs should have a shared language. Don't get me wrong. We need to have a shared language for them to cope in Humansville, but it doesn't have to be impeccable, right? Impeccable to me means the dog doesn't get to be a damn dog. And we love them because they're dogs, and they're not impeccable little robots that don't move around. Like, it was a marketing thing. Maybe they don't teach that the same way, but for me, the marketing on that was wrong.
False.
All right. So we're getting a little long in the tooth. I knew it would. We always know it would. But the next sort of thing we want to talk about is our next steps. I want to talk a little bit more too about our core values, because we recently came up with these. We wanted to talk about the things that really make beyond obedience. Paisley, how do you feel about, we already talked about the first one being authenticity always, that we show up as real humans with real dogs. Real humans, real dogs. And I love it. It's no highlight reels. It's just honest and heart. And we embrace our dogs for being dogs. They are dogs, and they're going to make mistakes. And you know what? We're humans, and we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
We all make mistakes together.
And if you're in there making mistakes and feeling bad about it, come on over to Beyond Obedience, because the water's warm here and nobody's going to judge you. All right, what's the next one, Paisley?
The next one is rooted in calm. Calm isn't the goal, it's the ground we stand on. It's how we hold space, not just the leash.
I love that. It is how we hold space. And don't get me wrong, you're going to lose your calm. You're going to lose your cool. You're going to lose your marbles. And that's okay too, because again, you're going to be authentic about it, but you're going to move on from it. We're not going to like get stuck in it, but we want to always come back to calm. Remember that your calm is contagious and composure is contagious. So your dog is going to pick up on that more than anything else. And then, of course, this big one, number 3, is leadership is greater than obedience. I used to stumble on this, and I kind of did a little bit, right? Because you hear me go, obedience is still important. And if you like it, you do it. You can do it. Absolutely. But you still need the leadership piece. Because I will tell you right now, without the leadership, the obedience is meaningless. You have to have, and that's why I believe, but leadership is greater than obedience. And I know that for a fact because I have very non-obedient dogs. And I still have great relationships with them. I can still take them everywhere. They're just good dogs with no obedience. Could I have obedience with them? Sure, I can. But I choose leadership. So we don't command respect. We earn their trust. That's the big one. Leadership means showing up calm, clear, and as someone worth following. That was our tagline forever.
That was our tagline.
Be someone worth following. That was our tagline forever. All right, number 4, Paisley.
Dog first decisions. We start with our dog's needs, not what we want them to do. Their well-being leads our choices.
Their well-being leads our choices. We really wanted to make sure that this was in there because it goes along with the same idea of the concept of asking the dog, right? We want to ask the dog. We want to listen to the dog. We're not going to be influenced by all of the crazy hoopla that's online about equipment and tools and all that stuff. We're going to ask the dog and we're going to listen to what they say. That's part of dog decisions first as well. And then finally, curiosity over correction. We put behavior isn't a problem to fix. It's a story to understand. And I truly do believe that, right? The behavior your dog is displaying, I want you to say, how interesting. Why is my dog doing that? We don't want to necessarily correct it right away. We want to actually understand where is this coming from? Because as I mentioned before, quick fixes and quick corrections, if we don't understand the underlying current of what's going on with your dog, whatever you just corrected will come up somewhere else. That's a guarantee. Guarantee.
Yeah.
So
you're just kind of displacing it for the time being.
Yep, it just will move. It'll move. It'll come up someplace else. And you'll be like, where'd that come from? And then you'll have to correct that. And you'll just be chasing the correction forever and ever and ever until you actually really, truly understand what is that behavior telling you. It's a story to learn about your dog. All right, and then finally, what's coming up next for Fearless Framework? Because Paisley and I have been sitting and we've been doing our meetings and we're very, very excited about everything that's happened. We are up-leveling everything.
We are up-leveling to the best of us. That's not a statement.
Botched it.
What's that?
Last minute. We are up-leveling.
I started strong.
Yeah, we are. She's like, what she said. That's what we're
I second that.
We're really up-leveling. So with the success of the Fearful Dog Fearless Framework program, we are going to be pouring more into that, more community, more support, more everything, honestly. And we want your help. We want your help to know like what kind of things you want inside that community. But also, we want to invite you to, at this point in time, if you haven't jumped into the Fearful Dog or the Fearless Framework, I would do it now. I'm just going to put that hint out there. I would do it now because, as I mentioned, this was the beta launch, the beta project, and the people that put their hands up now to join us got in at an incredibly good price. That, just a little hint, it's not going to last forever. And so as this becomes, more and we're doing more and more things and more connections and more, I'll tell you right now, there's going to be some Zoom calls. There's going to be some video analysis of behavior, like lots of good stuff is happening coming into that. And we're really excited about that because we're not looking at this as a dog training program. Paisley and I have talked a lot about this. This is more of a movement for us. This is a movement. We really not only want to help people to understand their dogs, but we want people to not only have a better bond with their dogs, but to be able to connect to share that and to be a voice inside this chaos to help more and more people, right? I used to think I did this because of the love of the dog. And it turns out I do it for the love of the people who love their dogs. And I truly do love the people that love their dogs. So if you are in it, we invite you to not only stay inside, keep listening to the podcast, be a part of our Living Beyond Obedience, the free Facebook group. And if you are someone who's been thinking about joining us in the Fearful Dog Fearless Framework, you got to get in now. Get in now while you can. It's going to get better. And we're excited about that. So here's to the next 100 episodes.
Yeah, let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing. Next 100 episodes plus Fearless Framework 2.0. Woo! But we always do that. Bigger, better, badder? No.
Sure. I don't think batter's a good...
I never know how to do it in that like weird commercial phrase, but it's gonna be amazing. So once again, thank you for being you. Thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you for showing up and for sharing and for being the amazing human being that you are. I don't think I'll ever really be able to fully express my love and gratitude for everybody that has supported this podcast. So thank you to that. As always, get out there today, my friend, and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Thank you, Paisley, for joining us in the studio today. Awkward pause as she says nothing.
I thought you were going to lead with something, and then you just kind of like...
So I thought you would say, like, no problem, Mom. I love hanging out with you is what I thought you were
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
I didn't realize you were done. You just ended that statement very firmly.
As you can tell, we don't practice. All right.
Authenticity always.
All right, that's it for us. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Testy. Not gonna sing a song because that was used against me last time. Put that in the end of the episode just to taunt me. Friggin' lies.
You trust issues now.
I do.
Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only, and it's not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.